welcome into the PHNX Suns pregame show brought to you by our friends at the DraftKings Sportsbook app, America's #1 sportsbook app. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so that you know whenever we are live. I'm Lindsay Smith, here with Saul Bookman and Espo. Gentlemen, how you feeling? New series? Excited? Nervous?
I'm just not wanting to piss off the basketball gods. Last time we started a series, I just kept opening my damn mouth and saying things that just pissed those gods off. So, yeah, I'm here. Suns Mavs, let's do this thing.
I don't know how I feel. I hope that the fan base and everybody that's inside the arena right now isn't like just taking things for granted, but I feel like we're about on the verge of that once again with this Mavs team. For whatever reason, I feel like people are going to sleep on this Mavs team. They're a different Mavs team than before. They've been 21. They were 21-8 after the break. And I think that was the best record in the NBA. And so you can't sleep on. They play defense this time. Like, they're a different team than the Luka-led teams of the past. So I think it's gonna be a tough series, but I still think the Suns will win.
Yeah, look, trading Kristaps was a big deal for them too, which addition by subtraction. So yeah, you can't take this team light, but I also think we're getting spoiled again to where, remember the 7 seconds or less days where you're like, just get to the important series, like, oh, let's get, and I feel like even in just one season, we got spoiled by it by getting to the finals. We're like, yeah, get back to the good stuff. Can we get to that? Like,
yeah.
And that's a dangerous mindset. Luckily, I don't think the team's there, but I think some of the fans may be feeling that. Especially, Dallas was probably the least sexy matchup you were going to get in this. You get the Luka DA stuff, but
I'm just so over that.
Yeah.
I was over it like 3 years ago.
I'm over it too, but we're going to talk about our keys to the series and stuff like that. And I have a key to the series that we'll talk about that kind of talks about that.
Well, tell us about it. What are your keys to the series?
DA. And we say this almost every single series about DA, but it's to me, it's absolutely Deandre Ayton's opportunity to shine, because I don't think there's a dude on the Mavs that can even come close to slowing him down. Mm-hmm. And if the Suns were smart, they would have been in DA's ear the last 3 days, like, bro, you have got to drop 30 easily every single game, because these bums can't hold you. And they're going to try and do their best to shut down Devin Booker and shut him out. They're going to do their best to try and slow down Chris Paul and play physical. It's DA's time right here. This will be the first series, in my opinion, that DA will lead the team in scoring and be the first option on offense because of it.
Well, there's a really cool stat from the Suns that came out about Deandre. And so DA is shooting 70% field goal percentage this season after setting an NBA playoff record for the highest field goal percentage in a single postseason last year at 65.8. So thus far, he's at 70%. So hopefully he can keep. I mean, how fun would that be if he was able to break his own record the next year around?
Well, especially if he goes 2 more rounds and is able to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like that. Look, I agree with you. DeAndre Ayton's going to be huge in this series. Very important. But I don't think he'll be the X factor in my book, because I now expect him to go out there and do those things. When I think of an X factor,
you expect him to average 30 in the series?
Not quite 30, but I expect him to go out there and be the guy that we've started to see as a force, the way he was against the Clippers when they played a smaller lineup in the Western Conference Finals last year, those kind of things. But for me, I think it's Torrey Craig's defense, because Mikal Bridges isn't going to be able to play every second on Luka Doncic, right? He's not going to. He
did play 47 minutes the other night.
But he does. Look, when you look at the stats, he's played the most minutes of defense against Luka this year, and he played 20 minutes on him straight up. So there's going to become times where other guys have to be on him. It's going to be Jay Crowder. Book may wind up on him at times, but I think Torrey Craig's going to have to come in if anybody gets in foul trouble and play defense on Luka. And Torrey was a no-show in the series against the Pelicans because Brandon Ingram wasn't a favorable matchup for him, right? I think Luka is a much better matchup for him. Now, I don't think he's going to shut him down, but I think he can annoy Luka. And I think those minutes are going to be key because when McHale's on him, he's gonna hold him to 43% shooting. I think it was 26% from three in his career on minutes against McHale. But it's the other guys when McHale can't guard him that have to slow him down. And I think Torrey Craig's going to be a key in that.
Yeah, I think that'll be an important factor in this game for sure. For me, as far as keys go, I know this sounds like a cop-out, but I really just think if the Suns play Suns basketball, stick to their style of play and their game, this series is a no-brainer going to the Suns. There's a reason why when all of the national media were polled as to who they thought would win the series and in how many games, literally every single one of them were in favor of the Suns. It's just, to me, it's kind of like, I'm not saying it's not going to be a tough matchup. I'm not saying the Mavs won't win a game or two, but the Suns definitely have the advantage in almost every category if you really break it down.
Yeah, you were talking about that ESPN poll that they did where I think it was 20 of their NBA people all picked the Suns.
Because we know how ESPN is right all the time.
Well, but look, you got to accept too.
Are you saying they're wrong in this situation?
No.
I mean,
I'm always hesitant when 100% of the people say that one team is going to dominate. It's like, okay.
I don't know that they would have said that they dominated because you had some 6 and 7 game series in there.
And some Suns fans on Twitter took offense to that, saying they don't respect us. They say 6 or 7 games it's going to take. So, Suns fans can never be kept happy. We got to remember that.
Yeah.
We are a very strange bunch. But I agree. It's a little unnerving when 100% of anybody agree on one thing because you go, how can that be? How's that right? Even if it's only 20 people. You go, okay, I'd like one dissenting opinion, please, in that case. So I get that.
So this is something that I am terrified of when betting. It's fading the public. Is when I have a take or something. I have somebody that I like, and then everybody and their mothers is on the same thing, and then it usually goes the other way. So same as US, but it scares the hell out of me.
Yeah, it's a little unnerving. But what I do like in this series is it keeps sliding
it gets
away,
lower and
right?
lower and lower and goes away. I'm like, he's already got a soft voice. I'm sure it doesn't sound very loud on the stream.
Okay. Anyways,
gotta use your man voice.
That's creepy. What isn't scary to me is the fact that unlike the Pelicans, this Dallas team isn't a good team on the offensive glass, isn't a good team with second chance points. So the Achilles heel of the Suns isn't problematic in this series.
Mm-hmm.
Like they'd have to really screw it up if they get outworked on the glass by this team and give up second chance points. That's what kept the Pelicans in the series last week is the fact that they could get on the offensive glass. They got those second chance points. If the Suns can shoot at a clip like they did in the last 2 games of that Pelican series, I'm not overly concerned when it comes to this. Like you said, could Luka and the Mavericks pick up a game or two? I think Luka himself can win a game in this series. I mean, that's just the kind of player he is. But I'm not. He can't win 4, and I don't think there's anybody else. Yeah,
not by himself. And Saul, to your point with Deandre Ayton, I feel like Deandre Ayton is going to be one of the key focal points throughout the entire playoffs, right? Like you could say that for every single matchup the Suns are going to have, or every single team the Suns faced in the regular season, which is literally all of them. Deandre Ayton is the guy who's like, as he goes, this team goes in a lot of those situations. But he is getting a lot of credit from his teammates, and he's getting spoken to a lot from his teammates, encouragement. One guy notably who said some positive things about DA, Devin Booker.
Yeah, I think what the playoffs force you to do is, do something different. Teams take away your first option, and that's where you can see people's real skill. And DeAndre was doing that. He was giving a little bit of everything from offensive rebounding to his touch shots in the paint to getting offensive boards. And I just told him don't get sick of it. Don't get tired of it. Don't feel like you've shot too many mid-range. Like you're making them. You shoot it at a high clip. So we need you doing that.
So Book is always in DA's ear, constantly telling him to keep shooting the ball, to continue to be aggressive. Like he said, don't get tired of doing those things. Like just because that you have specific parts of your game that are like your bread and butter doesn't mean you need to shy away from them. They're your bread and butter for a reason. And if you're winning and you're scoring points, then that's all that should matter.
I'm a firm believer in if you can do something successful 70% of the time in life, you should probably do that a lot. And that's what DA is doing with his shooting right now, is shooting at that high of a clip. So Devin Booker is just simply saying, keep doing what you're doing, big fella. Mm-hmm. You're hitting these shots. Do it until you're not hitting them anymore. And that's the philosophy of this team, is they want the hot hand and to take shots if they're open. I think it makes sense.
Charles Coulter in the chat makes a great comment. Says Dallas doesn't close out airspace on defense. If we get paint touches, the three will fall, and attacking the rim will get us to the free throw line. And that's something that did not happen last series. Mm-hmm. You know, they got paint touches for the most part, but when it comes to the free throw line and the three, obviously they had their struggles in both those, and I think that changes in this series. Different teams have different styles of how they attack the Suns, and I think just in watching the Mavs play this year and some of their matchups with the Suns, it's conducive to the free flowing kind of offense that the Suns like to run, a lot more backdoor cuts. It's not as physical as the Pelicans were, and I think that's really going to show out in this series, and that's why I don't really see this series going more than 5 games at the most.
Look, the thing that the Pelicans had was a big center. They had long wings that could get out, even if they were out of position, could get back and deflect 3-point shots. What the Mavs did to beat Utah was they went small. They can't do that against Deandre Ayton and the Suns. But their answers are Maxi Kleber and Boban. Like, they don't have any bigs either that can compete. So this is a bad matchup for Dallas in that way. Their hope is that Jalen Brunson and Luka Doncic are otherworldly and that the Suns can't keep pace with that. Mm-hmm. But as we've seen, the Suns aren't the kind of team that gives up matchups like that. They usually have at least one of the 2 best players on the court at any given time, whether that's Chris Paul, his Book, even DA at times slides into that area. So I don't see it. I know the Mavs play great defense and that Jason Kidd gets a lot of praise for turning a bunch of guys who weren't known as defensive stalwarts into a team defensive mindset. But I don't think they have the pieces to guard against what the Suns do. Mm-hmm. When you're playing, 29 other or 28 other teams, you can be pretty good at defense. Maybe in one game you can shut the Suns down with your team defense, but I don't see 4 wins coming out of that with the way that their lineup is.
So one other thing that Devin kind of mentioned there in that soundbite was obviously, which this is a no-brainer, your opponent is always going to go after your main guy and try and stop him, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. Which opens the door for other role players, for bench guys, to step up bigger and really shine and show the world what they're capable of. Obviously, we know, the top 2 on this team, Devin Booker, Chris Paul. DA has done the things that he needed to do so far in these playoffs. But now that we're in round 2, outside of DA, who do you think needs to kind of step up a little bit more on this team here in round 2?
Campaign, 1,000,000% campaign. Like when they go to the bench, like listen, Luka might be able to keep pace with the Suns by himself, and certainly maybe with the addition of Brunson scoring a little bit here and there, maybe those 2 could carry the. But there's nobody else mm-hmm. on the Mavs bench that I feel like I look and I say, there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to just stomp them. Like if the bench plays at a high level, this is a sweep. And campaign is 1,000,000% the reason why that would even happen. Cam Johnson, yes, we know what he brings to the table defensively. But I'm telling you, campaign can make this thing go to a whole nother level if he ramps it up like he did last year at times in the playoffs. We haven't seen that campaign yet. We saw a little glimpse of it for a little period of that in, I think, Game 5. But we need more, and I think it's coming. If
we're talking solely bench, you got the right first name, the wrong last name in my book. I think it's Cam Johnson is the guy. He has to carry that offense. That second unit is where the Suns should gain their breathing room in this series because once Luka's not on the court in those minutes, you got to win those. You got to win those big. And I think Cam Johnson's the guy that can do that. Hit those threes, become a slasher again, find his rhythm like we saw him. I mean, think Knicks game Cam Johnson and what he was able to do. You don't need him quite at that level, but if you get something like that, this is a no contest series.
But but my thing, and I would have said Cam, I would have normally agreed with you. However, Cam Payne's hot is more infectious to the crowd and to his own teammates than Cam Johnson's hot. There's no disputing that. Cam Johnson's spot up three, cool, awesome. Cam Payne three-pointer, he's bobbing his head, he's waving his arms, he's getting people hyped up. Like, it's a different energy in that arena when Cam Payne is on, and that's why I chose to go with him instead.
Give me a Cam Johnson bodying up somebody and posterizing him, and we can fire up the crowd too. But I get your point. I think that comes in more handy if you make it to the next round against the Grizz or Warriors. You're going to need that Cam Payne swagger more than ever. So maybe he needs to get hot this series so it can
get it out of
You got to get past this one before you can get to that one.
Very true.
Well, we asked you guys on Twitter who your vote was for the player that needs to step up the most in this series. And here's what you guys voted on. 34%
They agreed with us.
34% Cam Johnson. And then following that, 28% Jay Crowder, 4% Torrey Craig. I didn't really see too many others in the comments. I feel like it was majority the Cams here in this one, which I think is a fair thing to say. Yes, Jay Crowder, I would like to see his offensive game kind of get a little bit more like fired up here, in this series. That'd be wonderful. Defensively, I think Jay was still solid in the first round. But I would love to see Cam Payne and Cam Johnson just kind of have this be the series where it just propels them into the greatness that we know that they're capable of for the remainder of however long the Suns are in the playoffs.
Speaking of benches, can I throw something out there? It's not in your rundown. I apologize.
Yeah, that's fine.
But I got to thinking, who is the Jose Alvarado of this series? Who's the bench guy in the Mavs that I'm just going to hate to the point that I feel like my eyes are going to bleed and I scream on this show? And I have it down to two. I think it's going to be Spencer Dinwiddie or Marquise Chris. I think one of those two will piss me off so badly that I'm screaming at some point in the series about one of the two of them.
I would love to see a Cam Jam on Marquise Chris. I will just savor that for the rest of my life. That's what I want.
As long as it's not Boban.
Listen, I have spoken a lot of things into existence this year, and I think I'm going to speak that into existence. Cam Johnson will dunk on Marquise Chris in this series.
I just look, as long as they don't make me hate Boban for some reason in this series, I'll be all right. Like, that's one guy, no matter what team he's on, I'm always going to be like, I kind of like that guy. I'd love to see him in a Suns uniform just because it's Boban.
He just needs 30 seconds there, Sundress. He just needs 30 seconds for that to
Honestly, Espo, I don't think there's anybody on this team who will get on your nerves more than Luka will get on your nerves.
Yeah, but I already hate Luka.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
He shall not be named. I think
because he's such, he just has one of the, I don't know, there's just so much drama around that space in general, Suns, Mavs, but then also sort of his style and some of the antics or whatever. I just think there's nobody on this Mavs team that I don't anticipate that you're going to dislike more than Luka.
He's like the kid you knew in school that was too dumb to realize he wasn't as cool as he thought he was. That's the feeling I get from Luka. Like just that smirk, the little, all of it. But yeah, I'm going to wind up yelling about that guy on here. So,
well, since the Cams were at the top of this vote, we do have sound from Cam Payne talking about the last series against the Pelicans. So let's hear what he had to say.
Going back and watching film of this series, for you personally, what they would be like, I'll be better next series at that.
Making shots.
Was that just a matter of the defense, or that you rushing shots?
I was off, and I'm due.
Simple as that.
That's what I fucking said.
Simple as that.
It's just that easy.
I'm just going to say that after one of our shows. I was off, now I'm due what I can answer for the next one.
Listen, I do appreciate that answer, though, because Dwayne was asking the question. Dwayne Rankin was kind of trying to get a little bit more out of him. Like, what do you attribute that being off to? And like was providing a few examples.
Sometimes you're just off.
I know, but I like that Cam didn't be like, oh, it was just what, the flow of the game or, what they were throwing at me or how they were defending me. Like it was zero excuses. It was just, I was off. I didn't play my game as well as I should and could. And that's as simple as that.
It is truly as simple as that sometimes. I people like to dissect players sometimes. Oh, well, when he's playing against this guy, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes dudes are just off. They're just off. And it takes a little bit to find that, that rhythm and get going again. So he is due. He is definitely due.
But the problem is that's been campaign story all year, right? We've been saying he's due. That this is going to turn around. I hope it happens this series.
It's going to happen this series, Espo. That's all I'm going to say. It's going to happen this series.
If
Campaign,
it doesn't, what happens?
Saul said you're breaking out of your slump this series.
There you go.
4th leading scorer in the whole series.
Hey, Shane,
Campaign.
mark that time code down so we have that.
So we have a couple super chats. Ray Blaine. The message is now gone, but thank you for the super chat. Oh, here we go. We have it up here. Ayton will eat, Booker will book it. The Warden will lock them up, and Point God will bring fire and brimstone. Suns in 4. And then Psycho Blue, thank you for your super chat. 12 more wins. # Rally the Valley. Much love from RVA. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
I thought you said Antonio will eat, but I'll let it go.
Well, am I missing something,
No,
or I was assuming it just meant Ayton, right?
It was an autocorrect. So, or we signed.
Or maybe people call him Antonio.
Maybe Antonio Banderas is going to play a key in this series.
Zorro on your team would go so hard.
I was thinking Puss in Boots, but we can go Zorro.
Of course he was thinking Puss in Boots.
I'm just saying. I figured it was DeAndre. That he was
DeAndre Antonio.
All right, guys. X factors in this one. Espo, you kind of shared yours a little bit earlier. Some Torrey Craig thoughts there.
I think there's one other.
Okay.
It's Devin Booker's hamstring too. If that bad boy has any issues or goes MIA this series, that changes the complexion completely at that point. So that's a big X factor.
Knock on wood, dude.
What?
Because you just are just jinxing this guy.
How is it
Okay, but here's the thing.
It's already an issue.
We have a show. If we can't talk about things or how we feel on this show because of jinxes and the basketball gods, and no shade to either of those, we're not going to be able to have a show.
And look,
we have to talk
you
about
are
these
so
things.
professional. You guys are good enough to talk around it.
look.
You don't have to say it out
loud. We can't talk
loud.
around the fact that he was injured last series, and we know that hamstrings can be problematic. That's not a jinx. That's a fact.
Try it, Espo. Try and talk around it. The X factor in tonight or this series is
that thing that Devin Booker has in his leg. That's the X factor. But we'll do some crystals. We'll smudge. We'll do all that. Everything will be okay. And it's all good.
Okay, here's mine. I'm gonna try and do.
Let's see the pro. Watch the pro do it. Watch.
No, this isn't gonna be a pro thing. I'm gonna be petty here.
Okay.
You know that thing that happened to Devin a few weeks ago that we didn't like? We don't want that to happen again here this week. So as long as that doesn't happen, we'll be good.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Yeah.
How is that not jinx again? It's the same shit.
We're not actually calling out.
We're
what
not
that
actually
is.
saying it
That
out
thing.
loud.
Oh my God!
It's
I'm
just that
sorry.
thing.
We
Yeah,
didn't
you know what I
know
mean?
that was that.
Hey,
Sorry.
we want everybody to have perfect health throughout this series, including number 1.
Look, the
That's it.
thing with the thing. I hope that is okay with the thing. There,
Totally.
there we go.
There you go. So what's your X
Analysis
factor?
right there.
What's your X
is it
factor,
mine?
Saul?
Okay, yeah. Mine is Monty.
Okay.
Like, Monty can't get out coached in this series. He got coached against Willie Green in the last series, and I felt like for whatever reason his mind wasn't right in some of his rotations and the way they were attacking the Pelicans, and it has to change when you're going up against a team that is inferior to you, and when you're going up against the Dallas Mavericks, they do have dudes that can take over games. You can't let them breathe, and you can't give them a glimmer of hope. You got to stomp them out, and Monty's approach to this is going to kind of set the tone from the jump. So can't get out coached.
If Monty gets out coached by Jason Kidd,
Oh
then
shit!
he didn't deserve the coach of the year last year, and he doesn't deserve it this year.
My X factor is our depth. I think that's one of the biggest differences between these two teams is that the Mavs rotation is like 7 players deep here in the playoffs, where the Suns are capable, and they showed it in the first round of the playoffs, that they can tap into that depth when they need to, and they can come through in maybe limited minutes, but still they have the ability to tap into those guys at the end of their bench. And we might see some of that throughout this series with the way that the Mavs play small. You might see a lot more Torrey Craig, some Bismack Biyombo, who's a little bit more mobile. So I'm going to say our depth. Yeah. But more specifically, if they're playing up to their standards, that's the biggest factor in this one. Is, are you as deep as you've been all season, or are you now, when it's time to really show up, it's the big leagues, do you play to the occasion?
Don't punk out.
Yeah, I agree on that. I think what we all should have said, though, and made this segment real quick, is the X factor is the basketball gods.
That's fair. That's fair.
Apparently,
is that your offering?
We can't say anything.
That's the offering.
This motherfucker in his basketball god talk, he just would not let it go.
That was an offering.
That was an offering. I was saying all praise to them because they control the series.
Exactly.
But you said it in a very mocking way.
I was not.
But it sounds like you're pandering, Espo.
Yeah,
we don't
exactly.
like that. They don't like that.
love pandering too.
No.
Would you like me to make a sacrifice?
I think the basketball gods just don't want to hear from you. That's it.
Most people don't want to hear from you. How are they any different?
I didn't want to say that out loud.
Yeah, whatever.
All right, we got another super chat from Victor and Stephanie. Thank you so much. Said FJ Crowder, laughing face emoji, Cam Johnson, and Cam Payne are coming to win.
I heard somebody suggest, we had the conversation, you may have seen this on Twitter, but we had the conversation, will the hometown team, or will the hometown crowd do the FJ Crowder chant?
I don't want it to.
Well, somebody suggested they should do Let's Go Crowder as a nod to that.
That's better.
I thought that was creative. It's a way not to say F you to your player.
My biggest thing with it is that, like, listen, I get that it's funny and I'm not mad at it by any means, but like, it's fun to have the t-shirts. It's fun to like talk about it on social media where things can be a little bit more monitored for the younger generation of Suns fans. But when we're in an arena, like we literally, when I was driving into the studio today, there was a family on the light rail who you could tell was going to the game. Maybe a 3- and 4-year-old daughter. Like, they don't deserve to be subjected to that. Jay Crowder does not deserve to have to explain what FJ Crowder means to his child. Like, that's just, it's funny that we can lean into it, but I'm just not, I'm not here for it.
My
So
5-year-old said it before.
So, Lindsay, what you're saying is the fact that you have a man on the show who has a daughter, you shouldn't say the F word like you did. I think you should stop being a hypocrite because Espo's daughter probably heard that.
No, I'm saying because on the internet, the difference is that on the internet, you can monitor.
I kid.
Like, Espo could say, hey, Ro, you're not allowed to watch the show anymore. And you could put on parental controls on YouTube if you wanted to, if you felt the need to. If you take your kid, if you take Ro to a game and the guy sitting next to you is screaming all game long, FJ Crowder, you're probably going to be like, this sucks for my daughter.
I mean, to be honest with you, like, I get the sentiment, but there is just no way you're going to stop fans from cussing in a game. Like,
that's one thing from cussing, but a whole entire arena chanting is different. It's totally different, and we're not going to argue this. That's it. That's all there is. I said what I said, and I meant it. Espo, tell us what our friends at the Draft Team thinks about tonight's
FJ
game.
Crowder.
They think that saying the F word, that's not what we're talking about. They think the Suns are going to be a 6-point winner tonight or more. So it's a 6-point favorite tonight.
All right.
Plays in the chat. Oh, come on, Linz. Won't somebody think of the children?
Well, Bills fans thinks I'm correct. So, you know.
Cool.
Zenith clearly does it.
Awesome. Bills fan 2012.
It probably is.
Probably is.
Should we look at our bets too?
Yeah.
All right. I had Books points, assists, and rebounds over 31.5. It's a -125, but I think it's a good bet to make tonight.
Okay.
I'm just going to say that Gerald's bet didn't hit one time at that massive detriment last series. I hope this one doesn't hit as well, because that would be a damn shame. Anyway, I got plus 750. Book Ayton, 25 plus points apiece.
That would be awesome if that hits. Those are some good odds there. I've got the spread tonight. I think the Suns will cover. It's a minus 110. So that's where we're at.
Does Devin Booker look for a baby to fist bump tonight?
No.
I don't know. There will be some kind of fist bump tonight from Devin Booker.
First make. Who's getting the first make?
Crowder.
Oh, we're going to Crowder's Cash Club, huh?
Uh-huh.
There we go.
I'm gonna make Saul's bet. I actually like that bet.
Yeah,
I gotta get in there before DraftKings tells me, "Oh, the game started. You can't make that bet." So.
All right, guys, that was fun. Thanks for tuning in to the pregame show. We appreciate you as always. Be sure to come right back here, same place after the game wraps up. Until then, you can hang out with us on Twitter at PHNX_Suns, or if you are a GoPHNX.com member, you can hang out with us in the members only Discord. Bye.
Hey yo, my lifestyle is retro. Tell the Phoenix Metro. Megas in control and he ain't never gonna let go. PHNX though, Lindsey, Gerald, Espo. Saw past the ball, we here to turn up the tempo. Got to understand me, I'll always rep the family.